In the world of Elder Scrolls, where mere mortals have been documented throughout history in their dealings with the supernatural, who wouldn't cherish the chance to have their wildest wishes granted by a powerful prince? Well, to all those cunning and courageous enough to seek the Daedric princes for their own ambitious goals, Clavicus Vile is the prince who shows himself. Clavicus Vile's sphere is the granting of power and wishes through ritual, invocations, and pacts. He is a merchant of dreams and a silver-tongued salesman, tempting mortals with promises of powers far beyond their imagining. I know what you're thinking, nothing good can possibly come of making deals with a Daedra, but this baby-faced prince and Barbas, his canine companion, are never short of business. Sit back and get ready for 5 facts about the devious Daedric prince. Fact number 1. You'd like to think a Daedric prince who grants wishes to mortals should be worshipped for his selfless kindness, but unfortunately that is not the case here. Did I forget to mention that this jovial fellow likes to collect souls simply for his own deranged entertainment? Clavicus Vile makes deals with mortals who seek him out, but while these deals may seem lucrative at first, they tend to come back and bite those mortals in the arse. And I don't mean a literal bite from the jaws of Barbas, I mean a far worse fate. Whether it be clever wording of the agreement or some other form of trickery, Clavicus Vile twists the granting of the wish just enough that it ceases to be what the recipient desired and turns it into something considerably more dangerous. It's no coincidence that this innocent-looking wish granter also happens to love toying with mortals, savouring their suffering and giving them a demise that is drawn out, painful, and tragic. As far as Daedric princes go, Clavicus Vile is one of the most approachable in appearance. He is small and usually smirking from ear to ear. The only real sense of foreboding one could get from him is the horns protruding from his head. And Barbas is a delightfully furry and friendly dog. For a prince who could easily kill any mortal quickly and painlessly, this sadism is what makes Clavicus Vile, and to some extent his partner Barbas, one of the more devious Daedra of the lot. Fact number 2. One of the most unique aspects of this Daedric prince is his relationship with his loyal pet Barbas. But Barbas isn't simply some obedient dog who growls at the other princes. Barbas is sentient and intelligent, and it is quite possible that he keeps his nefarious master in check. Barbas is a shape-shifting Daedra who most commonly takes the form of a dog and acts as a repository for half of Vile's power. So Clavicus can achieve very little without the help of his canine. Barbas often warns people of Vile's plot, suggesting that he is Vile's morally good counterpart. In a state of rash aggravation, Clavicus asks the Dragonborn to kill the mortal form of Barbas, to banish him for a few centuries and return full power to Clavicus. This seems to prove that the power of this Daedric prince is well and truly split evenly between the two of them. Aside from being less wicked than Vile, there's also evidence of Barbas being wiser than his sometimes impetuous master. During the events of the Elder Scrolls IV Oblivion, Barbas foresees the damage that the sword Umbra will inflict on Clavicus Vile's realm of Oblivion, and insists that the champion of Cyrodiil does not return the weapon to Clavicus. And while this effort proved fruitless, Barbas' prediction came true and Umbriel was created, but we'll get into that later. Fact number 3. Clavicus Vile is responsible for creating a powerful Daedric artifact that preys on the vanity of mortals, allowing him to give them hope before tearing it away from them. This artifact is known as the Masque of Clavicus Vile. The artifact came into existence when a young noblewoman named Avalia set out in search of the Prince of Promises. As a child, Avalia was disfigured by a servant, ridding the girl of her natural beauty and her chance of landing a suitor in the court. The desperate woman struck a deal with Clavicus Vile and was given the mask. While it didn't alter her appearance, the magic mask immediately gained her renown and adoration from everyone she met. Thanks to the wonderful mask, Avalia married a notable baron and they enjoyed a rich and rewarding marriage for precisely 1 year and 1 day. On that last day, Vile swooped in and reclaimed the mask. Despite being with child, being without the influence of the mask meant that Avalia was shunned and banished by the baron, and the marriage was instantly annulled. 21 years and 1 day later, in poetic, tragic fashion, Avalia's daughter sought out the Baron and exacted her mother's long-awaited revenge. The mask has made its way across Tamriel ever since, landing in the hands of the hero of Daggerfall, then Sorkville the Raven, a Nordic sorcerer in Morrowind, and then the champion of Cyrodiil before finally ending up with the Dragonborn of Skyrim. Fact number 4. Another of Clavicus Vile's artifacts, Umbra, is even more sinister than the mask. The Umbra sword was an artifact crafted by the ancient witch Nainra at the request of Clavicus, and it was designed for the sole purpose of entrapping souls. Vile wanted this so he could collect souls from the mortals of Mundus who crossed him or made dealings with him, but unlike your typical sword with the soul trap enchantment, this sword was far more powerful. A piece of Vile's power was imbued into the sword, giving it immense power, but on top of this, the witch, who was rumoured to be the legendary trickster Sheogorath in disguise, used Vile's power to make the sword sentient, and with that this artifact became far more than just some sword. Nainra was executed by a wrathful Clavicus Vile, but before she died she hid the sword from his grasp. From there, the sentient sword waited for a new wielder, plotting to take control of whomever laid a hand on the grip. The sword took on new forms in the coming years. It brainwashed an orc warrior in the Third Era 427, who was eventually bested by the Nerevarine, and then it was discovered sometime later by a bosman named Lenwyn. Both of these wielders took on the name Umbra for themselves, their minds completely absorbed by the wicked weapon. Against Barbas' sage wisdom, the champion of Cyrodiil reclaimed the sword for Clavicus. Fact number 5. Umbra returning to Clavicus Vile's realm resulted in the creation of the floating city Umbriel above Vardenfell. Barbas' wisdom proved true, and the reuniting of Umbra with Clavicus proved disastrous. Once in Vile's realm, Umbra escaped and cut away more of the prince's power for itself, and used this power to hide from him. At this point, Umbra was powerful enough to take on the form of a dark being with hollow black eyes in the shape of a man. Early in the Fourth Era, when the Ingenium came into existence in Vardenfell and began collecting souls, a rift large enough for the sword opened in the realm, and Umbra threw it into Mundus, hoping to permanently separate Vile from his lost power. In doing so, the two Dunmer responsible for creating the Ingenium were sucked into Clavicus' realm. Umbra took them captive before Clavicus Vile was any the wiser, and he offered them a bargain. Umbra was obviously cut from the same cloth as his prince in that regard. He spared the life of one of the creators, Vuhon, so long as he promised to create a more powerful Ingenium, one that would allow Umbra to escape from Clavicus Vile's realm like the sword had. This series of events led to the creation of the floating city, Umbriel. Umbra and Vuhon fused souls and ruled this floating city, leaving the Umbra sword unchecked and able to condemn all who carry it with insanity. With his power stolen by Umbra, Vile and his realm were weakened significantly, and that is evident through the Dragonborn's interactions with the prince in Skyrim. Subscribe to FudgeMuppet if you're new to the channel, and drop a like if you enjoyed learning about the brilliantly dastardly Clavicus Vile and his lovable pet Barbas. Head on down into the description to follow us on Twitter and our other social media platforms. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Scott, and I look forward to nerding out with you again very soon.